June 28, 2035. A seismic event along the San Andreas Fault has unleashed a previously unidentified gas, now referred to as abyssoline, from deep within the Earth's mantle. Upon interacting with oxygen, the abyssoline rapidly transformed, creating a thick perpetual fog that eventually covered half of the globe. The fog limits visibility to a couple of feet, and prolonged exposure leads to a quick deterioration of mental stability, characterized by paranoia, auditory hallucinations, and aggressive outbursts. Society teeters on the brink of collapse.
Hello and welcome back to AMB Radio, bringing you the most up-to-date news on the ongoing global crisis. It is now 2 weeks since the phenomenon that has become simply known as the fog began its relentless spread across the world when that deceptively minor seismic event along the San Andreas Fault triggered the release of what's become known as abyssoline gas into the atmosphere. For days, scientists have been scrambling to understand this unprecedented event, to quantify the threat, to find a solution. But the answers remained elusive, shrouded much like the world itself in the insidious embrace of this fog. Driven by strong, unpredictable winds, the fog has swept across North and Central America, consuming vast areas of South America as well. And the latest reports confirm its presence across much of Western Europe, West Africa, and even reaching parts of Eastern Asia. And the horrifying reality is this: it continues to spread. Villages, towns, and major metropolitan centers around the world are watching in dread as this phenomenon slowly, inexorably creeps closer and closer. The scientific community is united in their concern. The abyssoline gas continues to be released from what they're calling an unknown reservoir deep within the Earth's mantle. They stress that there is no way to know how much of this gas remains, no way to predict when the release will stop, and the most grim projections suggest that the fog will eventually cover the entire globe. The United States, along with every other affected nation, remains under strict lockdown. Borders are sealed and curfews are in effect. Travel is virtually impossible, with visibility limited to mere feet in many areas, and those countries still spared from the fog's immediate reach are issuing desperate pleas to their citizens, urging them to prepare for the inevitable. We're hearing reports of panic buying, of resource hoarding, of communities desperately trying to fortify themselves against what is coming. Because, as we know, what is coming is far more insidious than just a lack of visibility. We know that prolonged exposure to the abyssoline gas leads to a rapid deterioration of mental stability, a condition that is being referred to as fog fever. Reports are flooding in of irrational behavior, of violent outbursts, of people seemingly losing their grip on reality. The fog doesn't only obscure vision, it seems to warp perception itself. We're receiving reports of amplified sounds, of sensory overload leading to paranoia and crippling anxiety. Many are experiencing vivid hallucinations, nightmarish dreams that bleed into waking hours, blurring the line between reality and illusion. And the chilling thing is, for many, it's difficult to discern what is real and what is manufactured by the gas. The sheer density of the fog is also hindering sunlight from reaching the surface, and this is raising grave fears of widespread crop failure, of a looming global famine. Food shortages are already being reported in many areas, and the potential for widespread starvation is a very real and terrifying prospect. And unsurprisingly, civil order has broken down in many parts of the United States and indeed many parts of the world. Law enforcement agencies and the military are battling an enemy they can't even see as a result of the fog. And they are struggling to maintain control in the face of widespread panic and desperation. Reports of looting, violence, and anarchy are becoming increasingly common, and amidst this chaos, a disturbing trend has emerged, particularly among the youth. It's being called the Fog Challenge, and it's rapidly spreading across social media platforms. It involves individuals attempting to stay in the fog for extended periods or navigating their way to specific locations, often dangerous or inaccessible, as a warped form of dare or competition. The consequences have been devastating. We've received confirmed reports of numerous deaths and serious injuries resulting from this reckless behavior. Some have succumbed to the effects of the abyssoline gas, their minds completely fractured by the prolonged exposure, and others have wandered into dangerous areas, falling victim to accidents or even to the violence that is now rampant in many cities. And so the lack of visibility, combined with the disorienting effects of the gas, has turned simple tasks like walking down the street into a life-threatening gamble. Despite repeated warnings from authorities and the tragic evidence of its danger, the fog challenge continues to proliferate online, and social media platforms are struggling to remove the content as quickly as it appears. But we urge parents, guardians, and community leaders to talk to young people about the dangers of this reckless behavior. It is not a game. It is a deadly gamble with their lives. Governments around the world are scrambling to respond to this unprecedented crisis, and the immediate priority is the rapid production and distribution of suitable masks to protect the public from the effects of the abyssoline gas. Numerous governments have dedicated all available resources to the production of the masks, which are being distributed as quickly as possible to as many as possible, and medical facilities are working around the clock to provide treatment to those affected by the gas, but mental health services are utterly overwhelmed. Unfortunately, for many here in the United States, the abyssoline gas spread too quickly for adequate preparations to be made. Supply chains have been disrupted, and logistical challenges and widespread panic have hampered the distribution of masks, and many communities remain woefully unprepared for the challenges that lie ahead. The public is desperately seeking assurances from the administration, from the president himself, but he has not been seen or heard from since last week, and rumors are swirling that he has fled the country, or even worse, that he has succumbed to the effects of the fog himself. The president was in Sacramento at the time of the initial tremor along the San Andreas Fault. He was there touring the proposed site for a new high-speed rail project, a project that was a cornerstone of his infrastructure plan, and the fact that he was so close to the epicenter has fueled speculation about his well-being. However, the administration vehemently denies these rumors, and the White House insists that the president was immediately evacuated to a secure location and remains actively engaged in managing the crisis. However, the lack of public appearances and official statements from the president has only served to exacerbate public anxiety and distrust. There have been nationwide emergency alert system broadcasts advising the public on essential safety measures, and I think it's important to reiterate those instructions. So please, fortify your homes, seal windows and doors as best as possible with tape and plastic sheeting, and focus especially on the areas around windows and doors, and try and make the coverage airtight. If you suspect abyssoline poisoning, immediately seek shelter in a well-sealed area and attempt to ventilate the space. Look out for disorientation, hallucinations, paranoia, or severe anxiety. And if you cannot make contact with emergency services, isolate the affected individuals to prevent harm to themselves or others. Under no circumstances should you go outdoors. Avoid any exposure to the fog. Do not travel. Roads are treacherous, visibility is near zero, and the risk of accidents and exposure is far too high. Also, conserve resources, make sure to ration food, water, and essential supplies, because with supply chains disrupted, it is unclear when resupplies may arrive. So stay informed, tune into emergency broadcast frequencies like this one for updates, but note that with power grids becoming increasingly unstable, there could be temporary power outages. Okay, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we will be back very shortly, so don't go anywhere.
These are dark times. The fog has choked our streets, our homes, our minds, the whispers of paranoia, the chilling grip of anxiety. It's all part of the new normal, but it doesn't have to be. Fight the Fog is working tirelessly to find solutions. From funding research into filtration technologies to providing mental health support for those struggling to cope, we are on the front lines. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. Every dollar counts. Every contribution, no matter how small, fuels our research, supports our frontline workers, and provides desperately needed aid to those struggling to maintain their sanity in this fog-drenched nightmare. Please, if you can, donate today. Go to fightthefog.org. That's fightthefog.org. Your contribution could save a life. It could save our nation. Thank you.
Think you're cool? Think you're the next big viral video waiting to happen? Well, think again. The Fog Challenge. It's not a game. It's a gamble with your life. Abyssoline gas, present in the fog, causes severe, irreversible mental instability. Even brief exposure can shatter your mind and result in frightening long-term physical harm, the full extent of which remains unknown to us. Already, too many lives have been lost because of the fog challenge. Low visibility, impaired judgment, and the gas itself. It's a lethal combination. Don't let peer pressure push you into this. It's not cool. It's just reckless. Sharing fog challenge videos online isn't brave. It's dangerous and irresponsible. You could be endangering others. This isn't a trend. It's a tragedy waiting to happen. This message is brought to you by the Department of Public Safety and the National Health Service.
The abyssoline fog. It's a constant presence now, a chilling blanket over our world. The news is relentless. Reports of escalating curfews, dwindling supplies, and the harrowing accounts of those affected by the gas. The sun feels like a distant memory, and the uncertainty of each day weighs heavily on all of us. It's understandable to feel overwhelmed. The fear, the isolation, the gnawing anxiety about the future, it can feel unbearable. Many are struggling with despair, with the urge to simply give in, to disappear into the fog. But you don't have to face this alone. We have a team of trained professionals ready to listen, without judgment, and to guide you through these challenging times. We can help you navigate the complexities of rationing, find ways to cope with the isolation, and develop strategies to manage the anxiety and fear that this unprecedented situation brings. Don't let the fog consume you. Reach out. Let us help you find your way through. Call the Hope Through the Haze helpline at 1-800-555-7666 or visit our website at hopethroughthehaze.org. There is hope. There is help. You are not alone.
Hello and welcome back to the show. You're listening to AMB Radio. With me, your host, Jonathan Wakefield. Now, before the break, we were discussing the president's whereabouts and the rather unsettling rumors circulating about his possible susceptibility to the effects of the fog. It's been eerily quiet from the White House for quite some time now, but as we were saying, the White House has vehemently denied these claims, and in fact, just moments ago, they confirmed that the president will be addressing the nation very shortly to put those rumors to bed, so to speak, to reassure the nation and, of course, give us an update on the ongoing crisis. But anyway, we'll be hearing from the president very soon. So we'll go straight over to that national address the moment we get confirmation that it's begun. But first, we're going to go over now to Dr. Michael Humphrey, geophysicist specializing in atmospheric anomalies, who is currently on the ground in Ridgecrest, California, with a team of scientists and experts investigating this phenomenon, and he's going to share with us his expertise on this catastrophic event that we find ourselves in the midst of. So, Dr. Humphrey, are you there?
Hi, Jonathan. Yes, I'm here, and thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us. Now, Dr. Humphrey, the world is on edge. The fog, this gas, is spreading across the globe at an alarming rate, and the situation is deteriorating rapidly. Can you start by explaining to our listeners what exactly this gas is and what we're up against here?
Well, before the seismic event along the San Andreas Fault, abyssoline was completely unknown to science. We had no record of its existence, no theoretical models predicting its potential, and it's a gas originating from the Earth's mantle released during the quake. And we've provisionally named it abyssoline, combining abyss, referring to its origin from the deep earth, and olein, suffix used in chemistry to denote gases and other volatile substances, and the composition of the compound is what is so alarming. Without going into too much technical details, the elements that make up abyssoline is relatively harmless to humans. However, the levels of each element in the compound, and more alarmingly, the way the molecules bond together at that level, is what makes it so devastating to human psychology and physiology.
Yeah, devastating is certainly the word that's being used around the world right now, especially as the mental impact of this gas is becoming frighteningly clear.
Yeah, the effects are profound and disturbingly rapid. Initial exposure leads to severe mental instability, paranoia escalates to delusional levels. Hallucinations, both auditory and visual, become commonplace. We're seeing acute anxiety attacks, catatonic states, and tragically, a marked increase in violent, erratic behavior in otherwise stable individuals. So it's as if the gas preys on and amplifies the darkest aspects of the human psyche. I mean, it's like living in a perpetual nightmare, and that nightmare is different for everyone.
And these effects manifest almost immediately.
Within minutes of exposure, yes. We've observed it firsthand, even with our protective gear. The gas is insidious. It seeps into the mind, creating a sense of utter dread and disorientation. It's hard to describe without experiencing it, and I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone.
Yeah, definitely not. And the world is seeing the consequences of that exposure. Reports of civil unrest and violence are rampant in countries and cities under lockdown. Can you explain how this gas is spreading and the scale of the area it's affecting?
Well, the gas, as we already know, upon reacting with atmospheric oxygen, transforms into a dense fog. And this fog, unfortunately, is proving to be incredibly mobile. The initial quake site near Little Lake, California, seems to be the epicenter, but the gas is still being released, and wind direction factors heavily. We've seen it carried eastward by the jet stream, rapidly blanketing North America, and the prevailing westerlies are also pushing it across the Atlantic.
How fast are we talking? The reports are saying half the globe is affected. Is that accurate?
Alarmingly accurate, Jonathan. Wind speeds have averaged around 50 to 60 miles an hour at higher altitudes, allowing the fog to spread at a phenomenal rate. So within the first week, it had already reached the eastern seaboard of the United States and was detected in parts of Canada and Mexico. And now, just 2 weeks in, it's spread across South America, many parts of West and Central Africa, and in Europe, the fog is spread across almost the entire continent, even reaching as far as some parts of Russia.
That's staggering. And you mentioned the gas is still being released from the source. Where exactly is that source, and what's being done to stop it?
Well, the primary source appears to be a fissure along the San Andreas Fault near the town of Parkfield, California. It's a site of significant tectonic activity, and we believe the quake opened up a new vent, allowing the gas to escape from deep within the mantle. And as for containing it, I have to be honest, our attempts have been largely unsuccessful. We've tried various methods, from sealing the fissure with specialized polymers to attempting to neutralize the gas with chemical dispersants, but the sheer volume of abyssoline being released is overwhelming.
So what you're saying is we're essentially helpless against this.
Well, helpless is a strong word, Jonathan, but the situation is dire. We're learning as we go, but the rate of release hasn't slowed down. We don't know when it will stop. The geological forces at play are immense, and our understanding is limited.
Okay, now, you mentioned the immediate mental effects of abyssoline. What about the long-term physical effects? Are we seeing any signs of that yet?
It's still very early days, Jonathan, but the initial signs are deeply concerning. We're seeing a sharp increase in respiratory problems, even in individuals with no prior history of lung disease. There are reports of severe skin lesions, neurological disorders, and a disturbing number of cases involving rapid cellular degeneration and necrosis. And some individuals are experiencing autoimmune responses, their bodies attacking themselves. But it's crucial to remember that this is just the beginning. We don't know the full extent of the long-term damage abyssoline will inflict on the human body. It could potentially cause genetic mutations, reproductive issues, and who knows what else.
My God, necrosis, cellular degeneration, that sounds like something out of a horror film. Can you give us a sense of what it looks like out there in Ridgecrest right now? What's the atmosphere like beyond the scientific data?
It's eerie, Jonathan. The fog is pervasive. Visibility is often limited to just a few feet, and the landscape is shrouded in this oppressive, ghostly mist. The silence is deafening. Most of the population has evacuated, but we still hear distant screams, the occasional gunshot, and law and order is broken down in many areas. The lockdown and curfew are attempts to control the chaos, but they're only partially effective, and the lack of visibility amplifies paranoia, so people are terrified of what they can't see, and rightfully so.
Okay, and as for you and your team, are you in a secure location? What precautions are you taking?
Well, we're currently operating from a reinforced building with a high-efficiency ventilation system. We're wearing specialized respirators and protective suits designed to filter out the abyssoline gas. But even with these precautions, we're not immune, and we're constantly monitoring our exposure levels and undergoing regular health checks.
Okay, now, can you tell me, have we ever experienced something of this nature before? On this scale and this type of natural disaster?
No, Jonathan, not on this scale and with this type of agent. I mean, there have been instances of toxic gas releases in the past, Lake Neos in Cameron comes to mind, or even the London smog of the 1950s. But those were localized events. This is a global catastrophe, driven by a previously unknown substance with devastating psychological and physical effects. And this is also very different due to the length of time that it has been occurring. Those events were over quickly, whereas this is entering its third week with no signs of stopping.
Okay, and I have to ask you, Dr. Humphrey, it's the question on everyone's mind. How many people have died so far due to the fog? Can you even possibly give us an estimate?
Well, it's very difficult to provide precise figures, Jonathan, but based on preliminary data from hospitals, emergency services, and government agencies, we estimate that the death toll directly attributable to the effects of the gas is already in the hundreds of thousands. The majority of these deaths have occurred due to the psychological effects of the gas, with people taking their own lives, the violence, accidents caused by disorientation and impaired judgment, and we should also consider indirect deaths. I mean, for example, as medical staff begin to succumb to the gas, hospitals are shutting down due to lack of staff, and people who could have been saved from heart attacks, strokes, and other similar types of medical issues are passing away after getting no help.
Hundreds of thousands, and that's just in the past 2 weeks. I had no idea that the numbers were that high. So, I mean, how many more could potentially die in the coming weeks, months, possibly years?
The potential for loss of life is staggering, Jonathan. If the gas continues to be released at the current rate, and if we fail to find a way to mitigate its effects, the death toll could reach into the millions or even tens of millions. But we just simply don't know yet, because we don't yet know the long-term effects of abyssoline gas on the human body.
Is this an extinction-level event? I know it's a grim question, but we have to ask it.
No, Jonathan, absolutely not. We're not talking about a human extinction-level event here. I mean, while the situation is dire and the consequences are far-reaching, humanity is resilient. We have faced existential threats before, and we have survived. However, I do believe that this event will lead to the extinction of many animal and plant species. The gas has the same effects on household pets and many animals as it does on humans, and it is not possible to simply move entire species to a safe, habitable place in the world. And it's estimated that hundreds of thousands of animals have already been culled because of the effects of the abyssoline gas.
So, while human extinction may not be imminent, the loss of biodiversity will be significant and irreversible. You mentioned that the gas affects animals in much the same way it affects humans. Can you elaborate on that? I'm sure our listeners who are pet owners are particularly concerned.
Yeah, of course. Well, the effects on animals are heartbreaking. Pets and livestock exhibit the same symptoms as humans: paranoia, hallucinations, anxiety, and disorientation. They become agitated, aggressive, and often lash out at their owners or other animals, and the fog also disrupts their natural instincts and behaviors. So animals become lost, confused, and unable to find food or shelter, and this leads to starvation, dehydration, and increased vulnerability to predators. And as you know, many countries have already implemented mandatory culling programs to prevent further suffering. And this is a difficult decision, but it's deemed necessary to protect public health and prevent the inhumane treatment of animals.
Okay, Dr. Humphrey, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with our listeners? Any message of hope or guidance you can offer during this incredibly challenging time?
Well, Jonathan, I know this has been a bleak conversation, and I understand why many people are feeling overwhelmed and hopeless, but I want to emphasize that we must not give in to despair. This is a crisis that requires collective action, resilience, and a commitment to scientific understanding, and we must support our healthcare workers, our emergency responders, and our researchers who are working tirelessly to combat this threat. We must also adhere to the guidelines and recommendations issued by our public health officials, stay informed, follow lockdown protocols, and take precautions to minimize your exposure to the gas. And most importantly, we must remember our shared humanity in times of crisis. It's easy to succumb to fear and division, but we must resist those impulses and strive to support each other with compassion, empathy, and understanding. This is a long and difficult road ahead, but I believe that humanity will ultimately prevail. We will learn.
This is a nationwide emergency alert. This message is being broadcast on all radio and television stations across the United States at the direction of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. A nationwide stay-at-home order is currently in effect due to the widespread dissemination of abyssoline gas. You are required by law to remain indoors. Repeat, a nationwide stay-at-home order is in effect. All citizens are ordered to remain in their homes until further notice. The abyssoline gas has created a dense, toxic fog across the country, significantly reducing visibility. Under no circumstances should you attempt to travel. Traveling during this state of emergency poses extreme risk. The heavy fog makes driving extremely dangerous, leading to a high risk of accidents and potential fatalities. Exposure to abyssoline gas, even at low levels, can impair judgment and decision-making abilities, further increasing the risk of accidents. Protecting your home. To minimize exposure to the gas, take the following precautions. Seal windows and doors. Use duct tape and plastic sheeting to seal any cracks or openings around windows and doors. Pay special attention to areas where pipes or wires enter your home. Cover all ventilation openings, including air vents, fireplace dampers, and dryer vents with plastic and tape. Seek shelter in an interior room. Choose an interior room, preferably one without windows, and make it your safe room. Seal the door as best as possible. Air filtration. If possible, use an air purifier to remove airborne particles. Protective masks. Ordinary dust masks or surgical masks offer minimal protection against abyssoline gas. For adequate protection, you should utilize a properly fitted respirator mask. Symptoms of abyssoline exposure. Early symptoms of abyssoline poisoning may include visual disturbances, such as seeing movement in your peripheral vision that isn't there. Auditory hallucinations, hearing sounds that are out of place or appear distorted. An overwhelming sense of anxiety or dread, even without a clear cause. Disorientation, like having short-term memory loss or not knowing where you are. As exposure increases, symptoms can progress to paranoia and delusions, more pronounced auditory and visual hallucinations, severe anxiety and panic attacks, confusion and loss of cognitive function. If you experience any of these symptoms, immediately move to the most sealed-off room in your home. Increase mask protection, if possible. Attempt to contact emergency services via phone or text, but be aware that communication networks may be strained. Provide your location and symptoms as clearly as possible. Stay calm and focus on breathing. Pets and abyssoline. Household pets are also susceptible to abyssoline gas poisoning. Signs in pets may include excessive panting or drooling, disorientation or stumbling, vomiting or diarrhea, seizures. If your pet exhibits these symptoms, move them to a sealed-off area. Provide ventilation if possible, avoiding outside air. Important considerations to remember. Do not go outside. In addition to the toxicity of the gas, individuals affected by abyssoline exposure may exhibit aggressive and unpredictable behavior. Evacuation is not authorized unless specifically directed by authorities. The risk of exposure during travel is too high. Military checkpoints are in place to enforce the shelter-in-place order. Travel is strictly prohibited. Attempting to bypass checkpoints is dangerous and will be met with force. Stay tuned to official news channels and emergency alert systems for updates. Conserve resources. Limit water usage to essential needs. The United States government is mobilizing all available resources to address this unprecedented crisis. We are working to develop effective countermeasures to neutralize the abyssoline gas and provide support to affected communities. We understand the fear and uncertainty you are experiencing. We are committed to your safety and well-being. This concludes this emergency alert system message.
Well, we seem to be back on the air, Karen, so hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Range with me, your host, Jimmy Waxmore and Karen Blooms. We are back after that emergency alert system broadcast. Terrifying stuff, Karen, ain't it? When you hear that.
It certainly is, Jimmy. Just knowing that somewhere outside in that ominous-looking fog right outside the studio, there's some axe-wielding maniac high off their head on abyssoline gas, possibly butchering somebody to death. I mean, that absolutely terrifies me. Being decapitated would be such a bummer. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if you feel the same way, Jimmy.
Absolutely, Karen. Yes, being decapitated would be an awful experience, and probably a very uncomfortable one if it's not done swiftly and correctly with precision.
Right? I mean, it's just terrifying what's going on out there right now. Terrifying doesn't even begin to describe it.
If I were to use a pun to describe it, Karen, I would say it's absolutely fogging crazy what's going on.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I wish it would just fog off.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it'll be fogging off anytime soon, Karen. We're stuck with it for the foreseeable future. The gas is still being pumped into the atmosphere at an alarming rate. It continues to spread at an alarming speed across the globe as well, helped by those strong winds. But one positive is that those countries not yet affected by it have had much more time to prepare for what's coming.
That's true. That's very true. And you've always got to look at the positives. But good golly, Jimmy, the world certainly is in a pickle.
A pickle indeed, Karen. A pickle indeed. Now, anyway, as you know, soon we're going to be hearing from the president. We don't know exactly when, so we're just waiting to be notified on that. And as soon as we get confirmation, we'll go over to the White House to hear what he has to say. But first, we're going to be hearing from you, meaning the public, because the everyday man, woman, or whatever animal or inanimate object you may identify as or be offended by has to have their say too. And we've got somebody on the line now, so hello, who's there? Hello?
Jimmy, they're everywhere, man. I need your help.
Now, hold on a second. Who am I talking to?
Listen,
and who are you talking about? Who's there?
My name is... I don't know what my name is. They erased it from my mind, so I can't tell you.
Who did? You're not making any sense. Who are you talking
Oh, God,
about?
help me. What the fuck? People, man, they live in the fucking fog. They everyone climbing on the walls, listen to them. They're screaming at me. One of them are in my belly, man. I can see him moving. He's trying to climb up into my soul. They want to kill me.
Listen, you are experiencing abyssoline gas poisoning.
No, man,
there are no fog
stop.
people. It is all in your mind.
No, man, don't you do that to me. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
Saying you're crazy. I'm saying you're experiencing the effects of abyssoline poisoning, which is making you crazy.
Oh, shit. Oh, you're one of them, aren't you? You're one of them. This is a trap.
No, I'm not a fog person. You are hallucinating due to abyssoline gas poisoning.
Oh, that's bullshit. You're trying to take my soul.
Okay, well, that didn't exactly go to plan.
That was scary.
Scary indeed. We should probably get that number traced and get someone to go check on that man.
Yeah, but the emergency services are completely overwhelmed right now. I mean, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters? Anyway, we do hope that man will be okay. It's just a terrifying example of what this fog can do. All right, we're going to take another caller, so who have we got on the line?
Hey, what up, Jimmy, my man? This is DJ.
DJ?
Yeah, as in D for Dick and J for Gigolo.
So, Dick Gigolo.
That's right.
I think Gigolo begins with a G. But anyway, how are you holding up during these strange times?
So, you know, man, the isolation be getting to me a bit. I ain't seen another living soul since I saw my reflection in the back of a spoon when I be chomping down on some Cheerios for breakfast almost 2 weeks ago now. And my homeboy DJ Fluffy Pussy went outside to take a dump in the neighbor's backyard that same morning and never returned. So I believe he may have fallen victim to a violent crime. My neighbor has attempted to murder him on a number of occasions, but most likely he got lost in the fog and he out there somewhere crying for Papa DJ, and that break my motherfucking heart, Jimmy.
Yeah, Well, that is very sad. Very, very sad.
It certainly sounds like that pussy has gotten itself into one hell of a pickle, Jimmy.
A pickle indeed, Karen. A pickle indeed. Now anyway, where are you at the moment, DJ? Are you in a safe location? Are you taking the proper precautions to protect yourself from the fog?
Well, the most secure location in my apartment is the bathroom, so that's where I'm currently at. It offers the best protection from the gas, and is also a very strategic and convenient location when you're constantly shitting yourself with fear. As well as that, I got a stockpile of random last-minute shit that I gathered up before I sealed myself up in here for the long haul. I got enough munchies to last me another, I would say, at least, according to my calculations, about 40 to 45 minutes. I also got my favorite cup that got a picture of me and DJ Fluffy Pussy on it, back when we was living it up at Catfest 2027. I got a Pikachu plushie, one sock, a piece of candy wrapper I found in my pocket, alongside a miscellaneous piece of fluff. I got a extra large fish bowl that fits perfectly over my head in case the fog somehow manages to breach the reinforced layers of wet toilet paper that, admittedly, I packed very poorly around the bathroom door. Most of it's fallen off, and I have no toilet paper left to resecure it or wipe my ass.
My God, it's just one terrifying example after another of the horrors this fog has inflicted on people, isn't it, Karen?
It certainly is. And it just reminds you that you should be grateful for everything you have, because that man has nothing.
Yeah, nothing pretty much sums up everything he has, which is nothing. No hope, no cat, no friends, no means of wiping his own ass. Just nothing. But anyway, DJ, how are you feeling about the future? Are you optimistic? Can you see light at the end of the tunnel, hope through the fog?
I could, up until about 15 seconds ago.
Well, that's a shame. Talk us through what you're feeling right now, DJ. We're all ears, and you've got plenty of time.
Well, Jimmy, I just feel like I really need...
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. We've just got confirmation that President Vance is about to address the nation. So let's go over now live to the White House and hear what he has to say.
My fellow Americans, I understand that recent reports and frankly outlandish rumors have caused concern. I want to address you directly and unequivocally. I am safe, I am healthy, and despite what you may have heard, I have not been affected by the abyssoline gas, the fog, that is plaguing our nation. I haven't spoken to you in a while because I am very, very busy. As you can imagine, this administration is working tirelessly with our top scientists, engineers, the best minds we've got to monitor the gas emissions, understand their composition, and most importantly, ensure the safety and well-being of every single American who comes from America and beyond our borders, and indeed our solar system, aliens, American aliens, and I'm sorry, I just need a moment to compose myself a bit. What was I saying? Okay, yes. The aliens, they look like a mixture between Robert De Niro and a Sasquatch, and they're watching us. They come from deep within the fog and have a particular fondness for turkey. But I can't say much more than that. They're listening. I can sense them with my feelers. So anyway, I would like to take this opportunity to announce that we are preparing to invade France. Garlic cannot be tolerated in a free society, in a free world, and the French are a crime against our sense of smell. But anyway, what's going on here? Something doesn't feel right. Something feels very wrong. My fingers look longer than usual. Are my fingers always this long? Can somebody please wiki my finger length? They don't look right. It's them. I know it. They're doing this to me. These aren't mine. These are imposter fingers. Shit. I think I'm having a panic attack.
Relax, Vance. Your fingers look fine. You've got beautiful fingers, just beautiful.
Who is that? Why does that man look like an Oompa Loompa? This can't be happening. My God, if you're listening, help me. They're trying to kill me. Oh my God, his hair.
Vance, it's me. Donald, relax.
His hair. Help.
Cut the transmission.
Cut it now, quick.
Cut the transmission.